Hi, Kerry Grinkmeyer here. I do a lot of my research by reading books, and I'm reading a current book is The Industries of the Future by Alec Roth. And a lot of what he talks about doesn't really surprise me. His first chapter is about the future of robots and how demographics are going to make robots essential for us because of birth control and because of imbalance in the demographics of many nations, particularly Japan, he features. Then the future of the human machine. This has a lot to do with biotech, the code in fiction of money, markets, and trust. And this is deals some with fintech and how we become a sharing economy and how digitalization and sharing is important. And then the weaponization of code, data, and then the final chapter is on geography. And as I was going through this, I was feeling very confident of the investments that I have in what I've invested, have my money set up for the future. But then in that one about the weaponization of data and code, he talks about cybersecurity and as we have moved from in one point we were an agricultural society and land was important, and then we became a industrial society and iron became important, and now we're information age and data is important, and how that data has now moved from our hard drive, which could be captured, into the cloud, where it is very vulnerable unless you have cybersecurity. And I got to thinking, I don't have any really representation in that field, do I? And I want to talk about that, and I want to talk specifically about Palantir and what I've learned about it, and what I'm going to do about it, and what I think you need to know about it. So stick with me. I'll be right back.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Grinkmeyer.
As is my normal nature, I do a lot of reading, and I do my reading actually on my phone. I'm dyslexic, so I don't like to read, so I listen. I go to Amazon's Audible, and I have a monthly plan, and I get a book a month, and sometimes I have to get two because of things I want to learn about. My next step then is usually to go to the internet, and we at Best of Us Investors have a relationship with Seeking Alpha, and I seek out articles, and I sought out some articles on Palantir to build my knowledge base there, and then I go to another outfit that we have a relationship with at Best of Us Investors, and that's Trading Views, and I look at the charts and see what the stock looks like. And I did that for Palantir, and I see it's down about 35% from its high. So I think at about 26. So I build my knowledge there. What I learned, though, about the cybersecurity is the size of the industry. It does about $400 billion worth of damage a year. That is, hackers hacking into various companies' websites and infrastructure and bringing them down. The first one he talks about is in 2012 when Iran, it appears, hacked into Saudi Arabia's Aramco and basically made an attempt to shut down the oil industry, which would have had dramatic effects around the world. And here in the United States would have had a tremendous effect on the oil and gas prices. But they were able to kind of shut it down before it did a whole lot of damage. The one I remember where it did substantial damage was in 2013 to Target. It basically, some hackers for a period of time got the credit card information off of everybody that went through a Target line and swiped their credit card. It did to Target. It just basically hurt them dramatically. I think it took their their market cap down by something like $40 million. And it ended up, get the end of the CEO left the company, was forced out after 30 years. So the cyber security is very important. I didn't have it in my portfolio. So then what I did was he in the book talks about Palantir. At that time, Palantir wasn't even a public company, and he explains how their software and their platform was all about helping the United States in the war in Afghanistan. What they did was they gathered all the data they could from all the social media sources, all emails, everything they could in Afghanistan. And as a result of that data and then artificial intelligence and machine learning, they could actually predict where ISIS or the Afghani army or whoever they were fighting there, where their next attack might be. And it was all, and then also I learned that Palantir was actually funded and financed by the CIA. And I also recall that shortly after they went public, I guess it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I learned they were very instrumental in the finding and the killing of Osama bin Laden. And that kind of put some fame on them. So I then, as I said, I went to Seeking Alpha, and I read two very interesting articles, one by Yavis Sukhu, Sukhu. I'll put a link to it in the description. And the second one by Stephen Fiorello. And in Stephen's article, which is very current, he alluded to a partnership that Palantir is entering into with Amazon and IBM. In the book I was reading, the Industries of the Future, they indicated that Palantir's main competition was Amazon and Microsoft at that time. So, and I understand that Amazon and Microsoft, Amazon in particular with Amazon Web Services, is the number one holder of all kinds of data. So this partnership that Stephen alludes to is basically, as I would think of it, Palantir reaching out to Amazon and saying, hey, we're involved in cybersecurity, and we're involved in matching data to predict or get in front of or afterwards to shut down invasions or hacks in cybersecurity. So I see this, even though Palantir is not a profitable company and isn't projected to show profits until probably 2022, if at that time, because of the tremendous amount of money that they have to spend to get the latest and the best engineers to keep them ahead of the game. You gotta understand that they're playing they're involved in war, and they're basically our front line of defense. And the big players in cyber fighters, if you want to call them, are the United States, China, Russia, Israel, Iran, and UK. Now, are there good guys and bad guys in this? Well, I think you might be fair to say that everybody relative to somebody is a good guy, and everybody relative to somebody else might be a bad guy. I know that, or I don't know because I'm not in those channels, but I suspect we're involved in cyber hacks into Iran's, into Russia's, China's. I don't know if the UK, I would certainly, I don't know. It really doesn't matter what I think. But the fact is, this is an enormous industry. In 2014, the author thought it was going to be a $175 billion industry in 2020, and I suspect it's every bit of that, if not more. So what's my take on it? I look at it, and when I look to my charts with trading views, it looks like it's down about 35, 30 to 35%. I think its good buy-in price is probably around 20. It's right now at about 26. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at it. The other thing I'm going to try to do is, I said, I have a relationship. I've done two interviews with the CEO of Seeking Alpha, David Jackson. I'm going to ask David if he can help me set up an interview with Yavuz Shakyu and or Stephen Fishlow, because they specialize. They've done a lot of research, and I think it would help my tribe. What I want to do is reach out to them and basically say, let's interview, let's talk, let's come to some understanding, or your input on Palantir, and then it'll be a short video, and I'll share it on my Discord. It'll be basically available to the Discord members. And this is what I want to do. I want to help my tribe to make better business decisions. These are our three objectives. 1, make better investment decisions. 2, keep more of what you make by understanding the tax code. And number 3, creating family wealth. Here in the United States, we as a couple are allowed to pass just under $24 million on to our heirs. If we can invest in major companies like this, if I had this kind of information and knowledge back in the late 90s, and I invested in Google and Amazon and Facebook, my 24 million would not be an issue. So here we are in 2021. So what are the companies we need to be investing in today to reap those kind of benefits? And that's what I'm going to try to do. So with that in mind, I like to talk to my people at least once a day. So go to bestofusinvestors.com, sign up on our to give me your name and your email address, and then I'll send you a link to our Discord, and you can get in on some of this inside information. And while we're here, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and ring that bell, and I'll be talking to you again tomorrow.